Yams were first domesticated by African farmers 7,000 years ago. Today, 48.1 million tons of yams are produced annually across 4.4 million hectares of land in West Africa's Yam Belt, which extends from Cote D'Ivoire to Nigeria, representing over 90% of the global production. Yam provides the most important source of dietary calories in Nigeria and Ghana, and for many people in the region, it is ranked third above meat as a source of protein. Many believe that it is important for food security as mainstay for at least 60 million people, as well as income generation.
Over the years, because the crop has not been developed further, as the challenges in the field are increasing, farmers and others have resorted to other commodities because those commodities have had more support in the past, and in some ways also those commodities may be easier to produce in certain areas. So as for instance soil fertility starts declining, you find out that the production of yam in some areas is going down. As the pest pressures build up, the production of yam as well as the storage of yam becomes a challenge for many of the people who depend on the crop. Now, just think about it. A commodity that is indigenous to our sub-region, a commodity that is very much preferred, a commodity that is part of our culture and a major source of income, starts to decline because of lack of attention. That will be sad, because ultimately then we will assume, well, it is difficult to grow, it is too expensive, and it will be part of our neglect that has brought that about. So the idea is we should not let that happen. We should instead bring science, solutions to the challenges that we are facing and really make the crop play the role that it has continued to play. It has tremendous potential that has been unexploited. There are many different types of yam, and I'm not talking just about varieties. Botanically, there are different species, and we are only looking at very small portion of the species at the moment. And so if you look at the fact that it has so much potential and it has had such little attention, then for this region, it is of importance that we get back to it and then develop it.
Over the last decade, yam productivity per hectare has been stagnant or declining in the Yam Belt due to a number of factors. Researchers warn that this trend, coming in the midst of rapid population growth, could be catastrophic for the region without efforts to revive the crop. Today, yam production is under assault from fungal diseases along with the yam beetle, nematodes, plant viruses, declining soil fertility, and stresses caused by climate change. Post-harvest diseases such as tuber rot can by themselves claim up to 40% of a crop. The cost of seed tubers is 1/3 of the total cost of producing ware tubers for food. Seed tubers claim about 30% of the annual harvest.
And anytime you have problem in the Sahel region for grain, only Yam support them. You see big trucks going there. And if we don't do something, if we don't help ourselves, people producing yam here will be sending all the production because they'll get cash there, and we will not have enough food here. That is another, we are not seeing it because it's going individually, not organized. It's going, people load the truck and send it. You see, I've spent 3 years in Mali, and I was surprised by the quantity of yam you see in the market there. And within here, we have the quality, we have the trade. People are looking for some varieties, but many varieties were improved, but we never have chance to produce enough seed to get them into the system.
Despite its importance in the economy and lives of many people, yam faces several constraints that significantly reduce its potential to support rural development and meet consumers' needs as an affordable nutritional product. Yams are deeply tied to the lives, livelihoods, and cultures in West Africa and among Africans in diaspora. Yet, their fate hangs in the balance as a variety of pests and diseases have now depressed yields to a mere 14% of potential harvests. Researchers say the major factor contributing to reduction in the yield is lack of knowledge of best practices in the cultivation process. Yam scientists have also developed a new technique that could help farmers increase their yields. Scientists also warn that it is advisable for farmers to keep part of their field for the production of mother seed yam in order to monitor and be consistent in producing healthy yam tubers year to year.
Well, the challenges are many, and you could start with the seed sector, that it is a major limitation, especially for those who are going into yam production for the first time. And we are trying to encourage a lot of the youth to pick up yam cultivation, because those who are in yam cultivation are aging. And but if you want to go into yam production for the first time and you have a significant area, let's say half a hectare, the investment in the seed alone is quite significant. Because assume you have, say, 50 naira for a seed yam, or 30 to 50 naira, and you need 10,000 for 1 hectare. So if you are cultivating half a hectare, it's 5,000 seed yams that you need at that price. So it's a major investment. So it is one of our things to bring down the price of seed yam and raise the quality of seed yam. And look at the area of losses in storage, that it is estimated we exceed 30% loss in the storage. Now, if we have 30% loss of yam, fresh yam from Nigeria, then that is more than the quantity of yam that the rest of the world is producing. So that is a huge loss. Now, the losses are not only on the farm. Often they start from the farm, but they end up during storage. Some of the pests, like nematodes, that invade the yam tuber in the field will continue multiplying in storage and cause the rot. And the yam tuber skin is quite tough against a fungi that will cause the rot. But nematodes are the ones who really puncture holes in the skin and allow bacteria and fungi to get in. So if we have nematode resistance, that is one way, then it means that the yam can resist the nematodes that will cause that. The other way is to also educate farmers on how to rotate their fields and avoid the nematodes. And also educate the farmers to recognize the symptoms of the nematode invasion of the seed yam, so that instead of putting it in the soil where it may only rot or give a weak plant, they might as well peel it and then dry it and make amala, or eat it, boil it, eat it, because they are wasting it by planting it. So just that simple recognition of the symptoms, so they select the good seed yam. Appropriate rotation, for instance, having crops that attract nematodes and multiply nematodes like okra. For instance, putting it on a yam mound, I see that often. That will attract the root knot nematode, and then it will not only affect the roots of the okra, it will also affect the yam tuber. So just the education of this would make a big difference. But of course, if you have a resistant variety, then that helps a lot more. So storage issues or losses in storage, seed issues, then labor. Look at how much labor it takes to make the mounds and then to harvest. Now, that is a lot of cost. In fact, labor will be almost say 30 to 40% of the cost of production. What can we do? We can advise on mechanization options. And how about planting on ridges? So you mechanize the process and then have yams or yam varieties that can perform very well on these ridges, where you don't need a lot of tall stake to actually get the production. So you cut out the staking, you cut out having to make that big mound, and you save a lot on labor costs, and you can also make things much faster and more attractive to the youth who maybe they've come out from abroad, they have money, but labor is in short supply. You go to the villages, all the young men are in the city, there are only a few there. But for young production now, what do? It is a challenge, and so we are approaching it systematically from these issues. But of course, the marketing is important so that the farmers can actually derive the benefit and not having people who will sort of take advantage and then take the yam at a very low price and milk all the profit that they have worked on for over the year. Processing into a wide range of products will then also expand the market and give the farmer options where to sell their yams.
I understand you've been working on this for 21 years now. In your opinion, do you think we can actually overcome all these challenges?
I am fully convinced that we will. We will start with a portion of the country. We will work hard. We will demonstrate that the results that we have already, applying those results will make tremendous difference in the lives of many farmers and many of those who depend on the farmers. Simple things, just knowing the symptoms of disease makes a lot of difference in the farmer's life, in the choice of what seed yam to plant and what material or what variety has such susceptibility that they have to change to another one. Just that knowledge, working with the farmer on that. Making sure the farmer has the variety that can double maybe their yield. Just think about it. If the farmer is growing 1 hectare at the moment, and from this 1 hectare, the farmer is getting, let's say, 12 tons every year. If using the technologies that we are talking about now, from seed to variety to soil management, if using that, the farmer can double the yield, because the improved varieties we have actually by themselves have the potential to give 30 tons per hectare easily. So if the farmer is getting 12 tons or 10 tons per hectare now, and we can get that farmer to even go up to 24 or 20 tons, it means the farmer can use even half the land that they are using and come up with the same. So if the farmer wants to produce only 12 tons and is using 1 hectare, we say, don't use 1 hectare. Use half a hectare and use these technologies, you will get the same yield. Let half of your land rest so that in the subsequent years, you can come back to that. So we are not only aiming to raise productivity just for raising productivity or production. We are going also to free up a lot of the land that is now in extensive cultivation system with a lot of wastage going on and a lot of cost, because once you have cleared 1 hectare, you have to weed 1 hectare. If in half a hectare you can get the same, the area you have to weed is less, the variety is giving you 2 or 3 times more, so you are getting a lot from a small area. The farmer can free up a lot of his time and a lot of his land.
Now you just mentioned the land issue. How do one of the challenges, I'm sure you agree with me, is like land. Because of the real estate, many people want to acquire land now. Don't you see that as another challenge that is facing food production, or even yam production to be specific now in the country?
Well, it would depend on which part of the country, because ownership of land is an issue certainly, but there are different policies that affect ownership of land. I would say that for most part, those who want to engage in yam cultivation now have some access to land. But I will tell you the challenges that are associated with some of these land issues, and that brings up the gender issue into the discussion. Because we have visited farmers and female farmers who have explained to us that you take the situation of a female farmer who wants to really go into yam production. Okay. The fertile lands are further away now from the homestead. So you have to go far to get very good land. These lands are often owned by the men. Plus, it's so far from the homestead, the woman doesn't want to go that far. Maybe they don't feel secure. But more important, they have household chores to take care of. They don't want to spend so much time and spend almost half the day walking back to the homestead. So they are forced to stay on the land that have been overused, which are closer to the homesteads. Now, that is the first challenge. The land is of poor quality, has been overused. The second problem is when it comes to access to tractors, to labor and all, often they are the last. Because, again, they don't have the capacity to compete. The men who take the tractors, they will use it. When they are able to even hire labor, the young men think, well, it's a woman that has hired us. We work a little and we will go home. Now, think about it. This is a group we need to help. And in our project, it is our determination that imbalance, we will make effort that if it has to be an affirmative action in some areas, in our choice of target farmers to work with, that we need to target these. Because when they get the resources, we have done economic studies of it, when women farmers get into yam production, that they are much more even efficient than the men. This has been researched. But these challenges are real. So, soil fertility improvement measures, they will benefit a lot more because they are on the poorer land. Labor-saving devices, they are more short-changed, they don't have access, so they are the ones that we need to help. Varieties and also means of actually avoiding pests and diseases without having to buy pesticides and all, they will benefit the most. And of course, the rest of us will all benefit a lot from that.
In one of the most ambitious efforts ever undertaken on behalf of what has been described as an orphan crop, the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture and a host of partners announced the new initiative to dramatically boost yam productivity and double the incomes of 3 million yam farmers in West Africa.
we looked at different commodities, more especially the food staples. And from there, we were able to realize, of course, we used the different selection criteria: who is growing it, who is consuming it, what will it bring to the smallholder farmers, more especially in terms of incomes, and what are the potential gains, more especially the agricultural productivity. And we noted that actually when it came to the economies, yam ranked #1 on the value for production for West Africa. So that one was one big major selection criteria, what it was. But also, we noted also, whoever was inside here, apart from the statistics, although yam is not grown by everyone, it is consumed by everyone.
The Yam Improvement for Income and Food Security in West Africa project, which is supported by a $12 million grant from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, will be led by IITA in collaboration with the government of Ghana and Nigeria, the UK's Natural Resources Institute, the Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa, and Catholic Relief Services. This project will focus on increasing yields through better seed tuber supply and improving markets for this underground edible tuber, some of which are as small as a fist, others as tall as a man. The initial focus of the project is on 200,000 smallholder farm families in Ghana and Nigeria, 90% of whom cultivate less than 2 acres. A key priority is to ensure that affordable pest and disease-free seed yams are available to farmers, along with storage and handling technologies that can reduce post-harvest loss. Scientists at IITA and the national researchers are developing a host of new yam varieties that can address these challenges, and are confident that with additional investment, there is tremendous potential to rapidly boost production and income from yam.
We'd love to hear from you. Do you have a comment or questions? Do send them to us by email on file@channelstv.com.